Let's talk about the Epstein files.
Oh boy, this is where it gets real. This is where Marjorie Taylor Greene fully turns on Donald Trump. She apparently said MAGA is fake, that it was fake all along, basically. Let's give this a listen.
What did you or do you expect to see in them?
I expect to see a specific group of men.
We've already seen, like, they're already out, or some of them, not all of them. And we know for a fact now that Donald Trump is a pedophile, right? Like, that's been proven unequivocally. I hope she admits that and draws attention to it.
The victims themselves, they call themselves survivors of.
There you go. The word is survivors. We shouldn't be saying victims. They're survivors. Victim is a deprecated word now.
Themselves.
I respect that from her.
They call themselves survivors of Epstein and others. They have a list, and they said they will know when the information comes out. Now, I don't have the list. I literally just said I gave a speech at one of our press conferences and said, if they wanted me to, I would read that list on the House floor, and I would have done it for them, but they never gave me the list.
It's legal for her to read out anything on the House floor, and she can't be sued for it because congressmen are immune from prosecution or from libel cases or anything for things that they say on the floor of the House. That's fascinating, right? But they're afraid still because they know if they name names, they're going to be subjected to intense harassment, to doxing, and to threats and everything else.
So I think they'll know. The survivors themselves will absolutely know when the real information has come out. But guess what? The real information has not come out. And, we've been told so many lies.
This is after the most recent document dump, by the way. So she's saying there's more that we're waiting for
on this. And I think that was one of the big issues for people, that called themselves MAGA or voted for Donald Trump for the first time in 2024 is the Epstein lists or the Epstein files stood for transparency and stood for taking down the whole government secrets and protecting rich, powerful elites, because everyone's sick of rich, powerful elites always get pardoned, right? Biden pardoned his people. Trump's pardoning his people.
Yeah, but Trump is taking $1 million per pardon. He's selling pardons. Biden did not sell pardons. There's a distinct difference here, right? Between the two. You can't tell me Biden is anywhere near as corrupt as Donald Trump. I get so sick of this both sides bullshit. I understand that she had to move to this, and I'm glad that she moved away from Democrats are the only ones that are corrupt, and she moved toward Donald Trump is corrupt too. But I'm not going to accept that either. Biden is nowhere near, Biden's not corrupt. He's just not. You may disagree with his pardons or whatever, but that's honest disagreement that you can have with him. He wasn't selling them.
But yet ordinary Americans, if they don't pay their taxes, they're going to go to jail. It's the same story over and over again. And so for me, I said it a million times, release the Epstein files. And I meant it. Democrats, I kind of laugh at them because they had 4 years to do it. And then all of a sudden, when it became politically expedient, they were like, oh yeah, release the Epstein files. So that's kind of a joke. But there were only 4 Republicans, 4 of us.
Okay, so she's saying Democrats saying release the files is a joke. The files were largely sealed by court order until Donald Trump took power, first of all. And second, there are a lot of Democrats that are in the files. And there's a lot of institutional power trying to prevent those files from coming out. Absolutely. But Donald Trump is in those files, clear as day. And Republicans made a big fucking deal out of this, pretended that, it was a global cabal of Democrats that were controlling things or whatever. When Donald Trump, here are the facts about Trump, okay? I looked into this heavily, researched it, read books about it recently in the past week. I want to know what Trump's level of involvement with Epstein was. And here's the answer. They were best friends for 15 years. Donald Trump knew what he was doing. He knew that there were very young girls involved. But in my opinion, I think that Donald Trump found his young girls mostly on his own, not through Epstein. I think that Katie Johnson probably came from Epstein. And I know that, which is the girl that accused Trump of her. And I also know that one of Epstein's victims turned up in Donald Trump's beauty pageant for Miss Teen USA, or the other way around. Miss Teen USA pageant member turned up on Epstein Island after the fact. And I also know that Trump and Epstein used to have this calendar girls thing at Mar-a-Lago where they would basically do quote unquote private beauty pageants for just the two of them, pretty much. And they would walk them through Mar-a-Lago, like past, the table and stuff, and talk about how beautiful they are. And I'm talking girls, young girls. I'm talking about underage girls. As far as I can tell, that's the extent of it. And that's like Donald Trump's involvement in the Epstein files. He's absolutely all over them. Just a reminder, I would really appreciate it if you guys checked out my Patreon. If you're not going to donate, you don't have to, but follow me there at the very least. owenmorgan.com/Patreon. Just in case something happens with the government or whatever. It would be really good if you had some way to connect with me and my content. I'm really concerned about that. And maybe you should consider that for other creators too.
Thomas Massey, myself, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert, we were the only 4 Republicans that really fought to get him released, signed the discharge petition, went against the White House, and we were all threatened and told, and you all saw what happened to me. Finally, Donald Trump called me a traitor because I refused to take my name off the discharge petition and said, no, I'm going to fight for women who were when they were 14 and 16 years old and trafficked and abused. No, that matters. And I refuse to take my name off the discharge petition.
Honestly, respect for that one.
So yeah, I think the Epstein files need to come out. And if the administration continues to play games, they're breaking the law that Donald Trump signed. He signed that. And they have to release it all. And so if the administration doesn't release it all, I can't imagine why anybody would vote for Republicans to hold the majority. It's like, why?
Honestly, did you not see this coming? How is she so fucking blind? I don't understand. Are you the dumbest motherfucker alive? Did you really believe that Donald Trump was on your side with the Epstein shit? I don't understand how somebody is so goddamn fucking stupid. Really? What is wrong with you?
Why would you give power to these people, to a party, and to an administration, to a White House, and to a president that is not going to release this information? I mean, to me, it's like a line in the sand. And I think it's that way for a lot of people.
Why do you think they're hiding them?
Because Donald Trump is in them, obviously.
I think it's because it protects some of the most rich, powerful people. I think it protects government secrets. I think we know Jeffrey Epstein was definitely some sort of part of the intelligence state. I think we know he was working with Israel.
Yeah, we do know that. That's true.
Was working closely with Israel, the former prime minister of Israel, whose name is suspected to be one of those men. And I think these are the dirty.
I think they're talking about Ehud Barak.
Parts of government and the powers that be that they don't want the American people to know about. And I personally don't think it'll all come out. I am disappointed to say that, but it hasn't come out yet. And I don't have any trust in government. So I don't think sadly, I don't think it'll come out.
Elon Musk at one point said, well, Trump isn't releasing them because Trump is in them. And then a lot of people were like, no, Trump hated Epstein. Trump.
Which is a lie. He didn't hate Epstein, like an absurd, blatant, flagrant lie. It's so wild how these people just lie and others will believe them like the suckers that they are. My God.
That's not true. And, like proof being in the pudding. Trump is doing absolutely everything Israel wants. I mean, it seems like he does their bidding They say he's the best president for the state of Israel that the state has had. So, I mean, it looks like, if I had to bet that, yeah, he somehow is compromised because he's doing a lot for that.
Hey, dipshit. Trump is not compromised, okay? Trump was always the one that compromises people. He was always the scumbag all along who takes advantage of people. Are you shitting me? Why would you even say such a ridiculous thing? He's compromised?
Country. And I mean, what's the other explanation for that? I don't know. But do you think that Trump is in the Epstein files?
Like, you have to be the biggest sucker alive to think that Trump was the good guy in this situation. No. Okay, he didn't grab one of us. I thought he was going to grab one. Does she think that Trump is in the Epstein files? He is.
Well, I've always gone by what the women themselves have said, what they've told me. So they've said over and over again that Donald Trump did nothing wrong.
There are about 60 victims that have come forward, have become public with, their situation as victims of Epstein or survivors of Epstein. But there are in the hundreds of actual victims or survivors. There are in the hundreds. And some of those survivors tried to come after Donald Trump and couldn't because they were getting death threats. They withdrew their lawsuit. Specifically, Katie Johnson is a pseudonym, and she withdrew her lawsuit 10 years ago. Yeah, she withdrew her lawsuit 10 years ago because of all the death threats that she was receiving, even though she was anonymous. And Trump hadn't even won, his election yet. So anyway, the point is, they are out there. The people who accuse Donald Trump are out there. They're just afraid to come forward publicly, obviously. Damn, he grabbed me. The current public victims who have decided to go public with this have said that they're not accusing Donald Trump personally of attacking them specifically. But Donald Trump is protecting people, at the very least. I just created a new website, firesidewatch.com. You can watch videos with friends, and everybody can play or pause the video. I made it so I could collaborate with other YouTubers, but I figured I might as well make it available to everybody. On top of that, you can add videos to the queue, upvote them, and sort by most upvoted. Give it a look, firesidewatch.com. And while you're at it, check out my Patreon, owenmorgan.com/Patreon. You can follow me there for free.
And so I'm taking their word. I think their word is what matters. Their attorney, he said that Donald Trump was the only one that helped them. So going by the women that I met.
What? Trump is the only one that helped them? What are you talking about? Donald Trump absolutely took advantage of girls. And I believe that this is proven in the most recent document dump. I'm not 100% sure on this. I believe that Melania met Donald Trump through Epstein. And if that's true, that means she's an Epstein victim herself. The victim becomes the victimizer. That was the setup that Epstein had. I don't know if you guys knew how Epstein did his whole thing, but he would go around to local schools, or he'd have people go around to local schools and find young girls who were sitting in the corner alone and say, hey, you want to come back and give a massage to my rich boss? All you got to do is give a massage. That's it. And then they'd be like, okay, $300. They'd show up and he would be naked in the room and he would push boundaries. Or he would have Ghislaine Maxwell introduce herself to them and she would get naked in the room with them alone, just change clothes completely ass naked, to try to get them used to being naked in a room with somebody else. Grooming them is what that is. And after he took advantage of them, he would continue to call them back and ask them if they'd give him a massage, and he'd push more boundaries. And some of them were like, I don't feel comfortable doing this. I have a boyfriend. And this one specific girl, he did this too. She said, I don't want to do this. I have a boyfriend. And then he forced himself on her in a way that he hadn't before after she said that. Some of the girls, after he got them, he would tell them, if you bring me another girl that's, 12 to 14 and not black, no N-words, he said, I'll give you $200 and I'll give her $300. So the girls would go to their friend group and they'd say, hey, you want to give an old guy a massage for $300? And that's how he recruited. That's how it worked. That's how the whole system worked. So anyway, the whole thing was evil, fucking evil from beginning to end, all of it. And Donald Trump was involved. That's beyond question. We know that for a fact. He's all over the files. And in addition to being all over the files, he's also protecting pedophiles. I don't know if you guys saw this image recently, but this email right here from Redacted to Jeffrey Epstein. Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. How disturbing is that shit? And even more disturbing than that, why is this guy's name redacted? Why did they protect this? Pam Bondi chose to do that, to protect this guy. What the fuck? Horrifying.
And the attorney, if we take their...
I'm sorry, until proven otherwise, I'm going to assume that was Donald Trump that said that. We should assume the worst about these people until we get the right information, seems to me.
Going by the women that I met and the attorney, if we take their statements at face value, then I believe that he didn't do anything wrong. However, it's why cover this up? And he and I had was one of our final discussions. It wasn't a discussion. It was actually an argument. And it was about me keeping my name on the discharge petition. And he told me, and I've said this publicly, he told me that his friends would get hurt. And to me, I'm I don't know why you would be friends with anyone that would do this to women and teenage girls.
Right.
So again, crosses all lines for me. I could care less. I fought harder than anybody to get that man elected. Everybody knows it. I voted with him 98% of the time, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to bow to anyone when it comes to an issue of such morality, especially when it comes to victims, innocent people that were abused by a system, not just by rich, powerful men, but also by a government that refused to help them when they begged for help over and over again. And so, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know.
And you know what else? No, I think we know. I'm comfortable saying, yes, he's in the Epstein files because he's all over the fucking Epstein files. Also, I described a minute ago for you how his operation worked, right? He would start out by getting a massage in his underwear and then getting a massage in his towel. And then he'd take the towel off and then he would walk in the room and he would just, start doing something disturbing and fucking evil. And what's his name? Alan Dershowitz, who defended Epstein in court, he's accused of doing this with young girls. I believe he said his massage that he got was only in his underwear, so he didn't take that additional step. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? You took advantage of a young girl.
I agree with you that if the victims are saying he did nothing wrong, then he probably did nothing wrong. But
that is absurd.
But I also think that there's much more powerful forces to get you to, for me, for example, it'd be if somebody I loved was in the Epstein files, if it was a family member or, my wife or, or husband or whoever, I don't know.
Wait, why did she say wife there? I don't understand. You got something you want to tell us? Mrs. Republican Kim Iverson?
That would be, but maybe not my spouse, not depending on what role they were in the, there's people that speculate, Melania was one of the women.
I don't think that's speculation anymore. According to the newest document dump, I'm pretty sure that that's established, right?
Look, they had a lot of models. It's possible she was a model. I know a lot of big name models that were potentially trafficked in the, they were the.
Not only was she a model, but they worked with. Epstein worked with Donald Trump's Miss Teen USA teen modeling pageant. Why the does that exist, by the way? What a crooked, fucked up thing to exist. Why does that exist? I don't understand. Teen USA? Miss Teen USA? Are you shitting me with this? What the fuck?
Victims originally, and then kind of, there's a lot of that I think a person would maybe, I'm speculating, of course, but I think my point being, I think there's other powerful reasons why a person would say, I'm going to protect this. It's not because of my benefit, but it's because of somebody I care about. They're implicated in some way in this, and I don't want to hurt them.
Or it's because it could be that if you're living under blackmail, if you're living under threat, or you're afraid for your loved ones' lives, people that you care about, and you have been told that you're not allowed to release this stuff, or something bad may happen. Let's put
Oh, give it a fucking rest, dude. You can't be real with this. You've come up with this clean excuse for Donald Trump so that now he can get away with protecting. Are you kidding me? He's guilty, okay? He's guilty. He's complicit. He's working with vile scumbags to protect evil racists. There's no way around this. Just admit it.
But let's say you stood on a rally stage and you got shot in the ear, and that bullet was right by your head, and people.
Oh my God. Yeah, the assassination attempt against Trump was to send a message about Epstein, right? This is fucking disgusting. You have no shame. You're protecting him. Why?
People in the crowd, like, my gosh, Corey Comprador, he got killed, and 2 other people were injured very badly, and he nearly died himself. I mean, maybe that was enough of a threat to say, here's this, you know what, next time we won't miss, or next time that bullet might be for somebody that you care about.
Okay, well, Donald Trump is supposed to be some kind of a hard-ass, bull in a china shop that's not afraid of anything or anybody, right? Is that correct? So why isn't he protecting people like these survivors? And why is he instead protecting their abusers? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Why is she trying to justify intimidation? He has a secret service, and he did a Night of Long Knives style consolidation of power attempt where he took, he got rid of everybody in like military and government that he didn't like. And you're telling me he's still living in fear of somebody hurting him? Give it a fucking rest.
Just speculating, but I have a strong
but those
enough
types of
reason to speculate like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. Or sex tapes of your daughter, sex tapes of your wife, or we can shoot you next time and we won't miss. And there's a lot of motivating.
These people are idiots.
Factors other than, oh, you're in them.
He is in them. Like, we have evidence that he is in them. We've seen the files and the things that he said previously. He's in them. Okay. We don't need to speculate. Well, why is he protecting them? We know he is in them.
We have you hanging out with Epstein at the pedo island doing, there's other motivating ways to get a person to do what you want them to do. And protecting loved ones is a big one. I think for many of us that are brave, we'd be like, come after me all you want. I mean, you're certainly one of those brave people. But yeah, when they start attacking your children or your...
Give it a fucking rest, dude. They were supposed to legally release all of the files. And instead of releasing all of them, they released half of them. Why half? Why did they only release half? What's in the other half, I wonder? This half conveniently didn't have anything about Donald Trump, or very little. Even though we know for a fact that he was on Epstein's island and that he flew on his jet like no fewer than like 7 times or something. We know that for a fact. What's in the other files? The other 3.8 million or whatever it is.
Your loved ones.
Yeah.
That's a different story.
When I got I'm telling you, when I got death threats on my own kids, serious death threats on my own children, and you piled that was like the final straw for me. I mean, I was like, okay, the president that I helped get elected, the leader of the Republican Party, is now calling me a traitor and says he's going to primary me, which is absurd. And then not a single elected Republican except Thomas Massey, not the Speaker of the House, not the Majority Leader, not the whip, not the chairman of the NRCC, who I pay all my dues to, right? The party. Not one of them stood up for me and said, you know what, Mr. President, Marjorie is actually really, she helped you get elected. She campaigned all over the country for you. She never stabbed you in the back when everyone else did after January 6th. She's not a traitor. Like,
why the fuck does she think that's happening? Because he's in the files, obviously, right? How are you so blind? Are you really this gullible? I don't understand how that happened.
then all that happened to me, and then these death threats came in on my kids. Let me tell you, everybody has a point where they're willing to say this isn't worth it anymore.
And that's Donald Trump, right?
And so I get it.
Who do you think is influencing Trump? What has happened with MAGA? I mean, it's just seemed to have done a total flip on what MAGA was supposed to be about, make America great again.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trump gets in there and all he does is talk about other countries, Canada, Greenland, Iran, Venezuela, like Cuba, Mexico.
Yeah.
I mean, the list goes on and on. What happened with MAGA, and who's influencing Trump, do you think?
It was obviously never about America first. You poor, dumb, gullible fool fell for it. Jesus Christ, can these people be any more gullible?
Well, I thought MAGA to me was about make America great again. There's only one country in that phrase, America. I was a true believer, absolutely bottom line true believer. America first. I was like, heck yeah, our tax dollars shouldn't go to any other foreign country, no foreign cause, regime change. Who cares? Iran's got 93 million people in their country. If they want to overthrow their government, take 93 million people and go do it. Like, I could care less about Iran. I don't care about Israel. I don't care about Ukraine and Russia and China. I don't care about Venezuela. I don't care about any of them. I care about America. I care about our problems. I care about the fact that my kids who are Gen Z will never be able to afford life. That whole generation, they probably won't be able to buy a house. They can't afford health insurance. They can't afford car insurance. Most of their jobs are going to be replaced by AI. Like, that's the stuff I care about. But after we won the election in 2024, a few months in, and MAGA started turning into MIGA. And it started
into what? What did you just say? A slur?
A few months in, and MAGA started turning into MIGA.
Make Iran great again?
And it started turning into whatever country Donald Trump said it was about. And here we're sitting here today, and you and I are having a discussion, and the president put out on his Truth Social yesterday that he's got a giant fleet going over to Iran because of the protesters over there. Well, I'm sorry, we've got civil war practically breaking out in Minnesota. Can we not care about that? Care about the fraud and care about all these issues here in America. So, no, MAGA is, I think people are realizing it was all a lie. It was a big lie for the people.
That's the soundbite right there. That's a big deal that she said that.
Big donors that donated all the money and continue to donate to the president's PACs. Serving is their big donors. The big donors that donated all the money and continue to donate to the president's PACs and donate to the 250th anniversary, and are donating to the big ballroom. And if they're donating to,
I'm calling it the Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Ballroom.
All these things, those are the people that get the special favors, they get the government contracts, they get the pardons, or somebody they love or one of their friends gets a pardon. And it's the foreign countries that are running the show here. It's the major big corporations and what is best for the world. That's really what MAGA is. That's the results. That's what we're seeing after one full year of MAGA. We are seeing war on behalf of Israel. We are seeing the people in Gaza, innocent people in Gaza, hundreds of thousands of them completely murdered so that they can build some new real estate development and money can pour in and everybody can get rich there in the new Gaza. And we're seeing a whole plan play out, which is really a new world order. It's a new way of doing business.
Oh boy, we've entered conspiracy land. But yes, definitely. There are oligarchs trying to take advantage, for sure.
And that's the, it's kind of like the Scooby-Doo meme where, they pull the mask off the bad guy. Well, the mask is being pulled off, and the Make America Great Again isn't really about America or the American people. It's not about the American people.
How did Trump fall?
I can't believe it took her this long to realize.
About America or the American people. It's not about the American people.
How did Trump fall into that trap? I mean, it seemed like he was so, leading the charge with MAGA, and he was going to be the one draining the swamp. And instead, he's definitely become a giant swamp creature, the leader of the swamp at this point. But somebody's got to be influencing him, or people around him.
Oh my God. It can't be that he was always a fucking scumbag and everybody knew that. It has to be some conspiracy where he's being taken advantage of and controlled, and you got some deep state plot or some shit. Please come back to reality.
Have to be convincing him that going to war with Iran is the right thing to do, which is totally and completely insane.
Well, I question that myself, knowing I know the president, worked with him for quite a few years, traveled with him, campaigned with him, visited him, talked with him on the phone, text message with. I mean, I know the president. I don't know. People always think, oh, it's his staff. They want to blame everyone around him. There may be a point where people have to come to grips with this is Donald Trump. You know, he's pretty hard to tell what to do. If anybody that knows President Trump knows you can't push him around, you can't tell him what to do.
Maybe he's the scumbag. There you go. You're getting it.
He can be influenced by people. Certain people definitely do influence him based on things they tell him. But is anybody really making him do these things? I think that's one question you can ask. Another question you could ask is, again, what did that bullet in Butler, Pennsylvania
Oh my God, it's such a conspiracy. Everything is a conspiracy. Give it a rest.
do? And what goes behind that? And what does that mean? And is it influencing specific decisions? I would imagine maybe. And, lastly,
she was so close. Yes, exactly. She was so close. She almost got it. And then she just fucking face planted.
It's been pretty amazing. Look, I have no hate for any people group. I am not anti-Semitic.
She is, actually.
I've got Jewish friends. I like
okay.
all kinds of people. I love all kinds of people, but I can criticize any government in the world I want to criticize. I criticize my own government. I'll criticize China's government. I'll criticize all kinds of governments, and I can criticize the government of Israel. Look, that's my freedom of speech. That doesn't make me hateful or anti-Semitic.
No, it doesn't. That's correct. Criticizing Israel does not make you anti-Semitic. Absolutely agreed. But going on Stu Peters' show, who is an actual, literal, real neo-Nazi, working with Paul Gosar, a real, actual, literal neo-Nazi, working with all of these people, going to AFPAC, working with Nick Fuentes, that's actually really neo-Nazi shit.
And I shouldn't even have to say that. But when we went from no more foreign wars, no more regime change, promising that on the campaign stage, and so did the president, and so did so many other people, quickly into Lindsey Graham's, Bush 2.0 neocon plays here, where we're going to every single war Israel wants us to, and starting to censor certain things on social media platforms. It's pretty hard for regular Americans to not question, why is this happening? And I think they're right to question it, and it's like, I'm Generation X, I'm 51 years old. And I'd say about half of our generation is really sick of it, very fed up with it. But
with what? The wars? Is that what she's talking about?
The generations below us, oh my gosh, like, the millennials and Gen Z especially, they're done. They're absolutely done. And they're not coming back. They're not coming back. No matter the threats, no matter the brainwashing, no matter what anybody says or does, they're just not coming back, because they're the generation that has so far been failed the most.
Which one? Did she say millennial? That's true. Millennials have been failed the most, for sure. I'm a millennial, and when I was when I was supposed to be entering the workforce, that's when the 2008 financial collapse happened. The housing bubble or whatever. And that was largely the result of decisions that the boomer generation made, that completely fucked me and everybody else of that generation. I've been crippled every step of the way. I mean, not me personally, but our generation has been crippled every step of the way. I was crippled every step of the way. I only lucked into YouTube I'm the luckiest motherfucker alive that YouTube worked out. If YouTube hadn't worked out, I would be probably working a dead-end job that I would be miserable at for the rest of my fucking life. Living with somebody, not able to hold a job down. Maybe, I don't know, because of how bad the economy has been since I was younger.
And so to them, Donald Trump and Make America Great Again and all the awesome videos and memes and sport figures and showing up at cool events and walking in with badass music and all this stuff that Gen Z saw all over their social media feed, TikTok and everywhere else. And they go out and they voted in 2024 and they voted for Trump, and they're like, hell yeah, finally somebody's going to get in there and be a badass and fight for us. But yet now we're seeing America's military go out and, go in there and yank Maduro out and Venezuela. And we're all like, who cares about Venezuela? And we got to go over there and we got to bomb Iran, even though, I can remember in the 1990s, on the news, them saying Iran is months away from making a nuclear bomb. I mean, how many times have they said it?
Yeah, you're starting to get it. It was all a scam all along, the whole time. You're finally understanding.
Guess what? We haven't been bombed yet. We haven't been bombed. And after 9/11, we really sucked into that stuff because 9/11 was horrible. And we still haven't been bombed yet by Iran. Yeah. And they've told us think about this. Oh my gosh, every Hollywood movie you watch, who are the bad guys? Russia. For so long, Russia's the bad guys and the villain is Russian. And we're supposed to be hating Russians, but yet Russia hasn't done anything to me.
No, I'm sorry. Russia is this her naivete, or is she actually a fucking scumbag? Russia has meddled in our political system for literally years. How are you this much of a sucker, Marjorie Taylor Greene, that you didn't see this, that you didn't know this was happening all along? Russia has been fucking with us since forever. They've been using our hatred of each other, our division, and making it worse intentionally because they want to make everything worse for the United States. How did you miss this?
I don't feel offended or hurt by Russia. As a matter of fact, I don't even think about Russia. I'm pretty impressed they're such a Christian country, So it's things like
yeah, that's what they wanted you to think. Are you shitting me right now?
That people are just really, no matter what they say on the news anymore, it doesn't work. And I'll just wrap with this one thought. When you watch people watching Fox News every day, 24/7 with their volume turned all the way up in their living room and it's so loud that you can't hear anything else, those are the baby boomers. And God bless them, those are my parents' generation. I love so many of the baby boomers, but they are the most brainwashed generation.
Yes, oh my God. Again, she's brainwashed, so I don't want to hear it.
Because they eat that crap, like they just eat it up all day long. They're spoon-fed the propaganda on TV, and but they don't have much longer. And so I don't know how the political industrial complex is going to continue to brainwash Americans, because we're just not brainwashed anymore.
Says Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people. She is still brainwashed, very brainwashed.
What do you think is the future for us? Where do you think we're headed? I mean, I never would have guessed the beginning of the Civil War would be breaking out in Minneapolis, but it does seem like
that's not what's happening. The beginning of the Civil War is not breaking out in Minneapolis. Donald Trump is harassing innocent Minnesotans with ICE. If he leaves, people will go back to their lives. These people are just disgusting. They're supporting the boot of the man over individuals. These people who talked all about how they don't want to, or how they won't allow the government to tread on them. And they're going to gather weapons to protect themselves and all that stuff. And suddenly a tyrannical government actually does show up and they're nowhere to be found.
Minneapolis has been the hotbed of the uprisings over the last, since George Floyd.
Why do you think that is? It's because the government's sending people in to harass them right now. Really?
The rhetoric online, it's very, very Americans are against each other. It's very hateful. It's very vitriol. I feel like there's forces behind them that are trying to get us to hate each other, so that for what purpose? Maybe to reel us into a civil war so that they could then do the new world order on us,
Oh my God, dude. These people are beyond hope, honestly.
like enact all kinds of surveillance and take away a lot of our freedoms, tons of freedom. I mean, how bizarre is it that right now all these Republicans are arguing against the Second Amendment, essentially?
There's that.
Just like so many Democrats during COVID were arguing against my body, my choice. You're like, suddenly.
No, that's not what happened. She's talking about the vaccine. I wasn't arguing anybody should be forced to take the vaccine. At no point did I ever argue anybody should be forced to take the vaccine. I argued that people should take the vaccine of their own free will, and you're a fucking idiot if you don't. That's what I argued. Very different.
Right. Pro-choice Democrats suddenly were no longer pro-choice, right, when it came to the COVID vaccine.
Give it a rest. No, I am pro-choice. I was pro-choice the whole time. I don't want anybody to be forced to take a vaccine. But your dumbass should take it to help society.
I mean, it's just the hypocrisy, the flipping. Where do you see us? Where do you think we're headed? Do you think we're headed to civil war?
No, I don't. And the reason I say that is because the conditions are not right in the United States for a civil war. The situation that we're in right now can't be solved by a civil war. Civil war only works if you have a military that is stronger than the government military, and we don't. At best, we might enter into a guerrilla warfare type of situation where people are, getting Molotov cocktails and kind of throwing them at buildings or whatever. But even that's not going to work in our situation. I've done so much research into transitional justice, denazification recently, and I've come to find that violence is not actually going to solve our problems in this situation. Not that I'm opposed to it in like the case of the actual Civil War in the 1800s. I think violence was the answer in that case. It's not the answer in this case. It's not going to be possible for us to take back the country through violence because we're just not in that stage right now, basically. I do think that what we need to do is we need to get people to turn on the Republicans. We are succeeding right now. We're doing it. We are winning. And we are doing it by revealing Republicans to be the monsters that they are, or Donald Trump to be the monster that he is. Listen to what these two right-wing extremists just said. Republicans are turning on the Second Amendment. That's us winning. The fact that they just said that is us winning. We are winning through information, proving that Republicans never gave a fuck about any of this stuff. They never cared about the Second Amendment or any of that. It was always a lie. The real way you win these types of situations is by demoralizing the opposing demoralizing the opposition, basically, by making all of the administrators up and down, the chain of command suddenly not feel motivated to follow commands anymore. Basically, demoralize them to a point where they're quiet quitting. That's how you win this, and it's working.
I think it's the political industrial complex. Look, they play Americans so hard. They have to. That's how their business model works. They have to turn Americans against each other and create hate between Democrats and Republicans because that's how they drive donations. That's how they drive votes. So it's the political industrial complex, and the media plays a part too, because that's how they make money. If the media has you addicted to, oh my God, civil war in Minnesota, you're going to watch it all day long on their news stations, and their ad revenue is going to be great because they're getting so many views. And so the ad buyers are spending a bunch of money. That's how it works. But the reality is most Americans don't want to fight each other. I mean, what people see on X is hyper focused political bullshit. It is absolute bullshit. When people get off and put the screens down and put their phones out and you walk out and you talk to your neighbors and you go to the store and you get out in the real world, people actually want to get along.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what's happening in Minnesota. And Donald Trump is sending federal troops unwelcome into Minnesota. and harassing people. And the community got together and are pushing back against it. That's what's happening right now.
I mean, yeah, you're going to bump into your occasional, like, some Democrat that hates Republican that hates Democrat. Yeah, that's out there. But most Americans don't care about any of this crap. But I'm telling you, and I can't reiterate this enough, they want to feed it to you. They want to brainwash you to the point where regular Democrat voters are like, some mom goes in her minivan and she's like all joined up into spotting and watching ICE and all this stuff, that she ends up getting herself, or she ends up, I'm not going to say she got herself killed. She ended up getting shot in the head and she's dead. And then you've got this
wait, I'm sorry. What was that she just said? One more time.
Stuff that she ends up getting herself, or she ends up, I'm not going to say she got herself killed. She ended up getting shot in the head and she's dead.
That's very interesting. Renee Good is one of the she is the less defensible of the two, Alex Freddie and Renee Good, because she was in a car and could, the angle is one that Republicans have an easier time arguing that she was trying to run him down, even though she obviously was not. But Alex Freddie wasn't doing jack shit to anybody. He was literally just constitutional carrying and got shot in the back of the head by ICE for no reason, just because. That is completely indefensible. And she chose to defend Renee Good as well. That is very interesting to me. I mean, I know that she stands for ICE generally. I find it very interesting that she is defending Renee Good. And
then you've got this guy, what is his name? Alex Freddie.
Alex Freddie. Nick Fuentes pronounces it pretty because he thinks it's an insult to him. And I'm guessing that's where Marjorie Taylor Greene picked that up from. That's fascinating. If you listen to the shit that Marjorie Taylor Greene says, she's repeating a lot of the shit that Nick Fuentes says verbatim. Fuentes does not like Donald Trump either.
Freddie was he was a nurse and he was all these things. And then he ends up, I guess he lost his job and he gets so sucked into the madness.
I don't believe he lost his job. No, he didn't lose his job, did he? No need to wonder. Just loaded up our question gun. Let's go answer hunting. No, he did not lose his job. That's a lie. It originated from a fake news website called Buzz Report 247, and it has been debunked. He did not lose his job. This is just a lie. He was an intensive care nurse at the VA hospital in Minneapolis. Similarly, claims that his parents said he quit his job months earlier were fabricated by a spam operation in Vietnam. His family's actual statement referenced his ongoing work as an ICU nurse caring for veterans. So no.
That he's out there, and I'm going to defend his right to carry a gun all day long because I believe in the Second Amendment, period, shall not be infringed. So I defend that guy's right to carry a gun, but ICE disarmed him. They disarmed him and then they shot him dead when they had him down on the ground. So I think that's a serious problem. But look at how these people are getting sucked in to these crazy protests.
Dude, don't you love it how in an effort to prove that people are being sucked into bullshit, she proved that she was sucked into bullshit by claiming that he lost his job when he didn't? That is wild. I mean, the irony is off the fucking charts. Is this not the definition of irony? It is, right?
Well, guess what? I'm going to say our people are doing the exact same thing. They get so outraged and get so sucked into it that they will show up and get out there, and they're getting in fights with people on the ground in Minnesota. We saw the same thing during BLM. We saw the same thing with Antifa. We saw the same thing on January 6th. We see the same thing over and over again. But what Americans need to realize, it is the political industrial complex that fuels this and fuels your anger so much at the other side that people are actually dying for it. And
no, they're being killed for it. They're not dying for it. Freddie and Good were murdered, okay? Brazenly, like out in the open. But there is an upside to this. The murderers in both cases were unmasked nearly instantly. It didn't take much time. It took maybe a week for each of them to be unmasked. I don't know if you guys heard. Jesus Ochoa, 43, and Raimundo Gutierrez, 35, were the two people that killed Freddie. And what was his name? Jonathan Ross? He killed Renee Good. Murdered Renee Good. The silver lining here is that they're being unmasked very, very rapidly, very quickly. And as a result, people will be less willing to, like, do heinous things to that degree because the news will track them down hard. That's a good thing. The news is doing what it's supposed to currently.
You want to know how you stop it? Is you go, no, I refuse to be a part of this. I'm not going to be a part of this. I'm not going to go to jail. I'm not going to spend my money on it. I'm not going to lose my life for.
Why is she siding with ICE in this situation? I don't understand. You think it was Alex Freddie's fault for being there? Why are you criticizing him?
The love of God for politics. But what you do is Americans need to force the issues that matter in politicians' faces. I would say health insurance is a pretty important one. I would say the fact that you're taxed on literally everything from your car tag to your car insurance.
It's kind of annoying that you have like 16 different, taxes that you have to file and that you have to pay. I would love it if it was consolidated, but I'm really fine with paying like high taxes. In fact, our taxes are not high enough, to be perfectly honest with you. Maybe the middle class's taxes are high enough. Billionaires are not taxed enough, not even close. My complaint is that it's not consolidated into one. In Australia, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, the IRS already knows what you owe them. They could just send you the bill. In Australia, they do. They send you the bill, I believe. Or they just like automatically withdraw it. It would be fantastic if they just did that here. But, with all the deductions and itemizing everything, they complicate it. It should just be a percentage of what you made, I'm thinking. I mean, there are better ways, and economists can attest to the fact that there are better ways to do this.
To your house. I mean, everybody's taxed on everything. I would say that's something to shove in politicians' faces. I would say data centers are something to shove in politicians' faces. And the fact that
data centers,
you need to protect our jobs and AI cannot replace humans. Humans matter. People matter. No, we don't want to be replaced by AI.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. That's just going to happen for better or worse. I don't think I like that any more than you, but that's technology. Like, they invented this little machine that you drop pills into at the counter, at the pharmacy, and it counts the pills for you. And that eliminated a job. You used to need 2 people to count pills, and now you just need 1 to drop the pills into the pill counter. That's a job being replaced by a machine, and that's just going to happen. Like, when that machine is invented, people are going to use it. Bottom line, I'm sorry. We have to adapt as a society to work around that type of thing. And the answer is that second job that used to exist that no longer exists, that job is going to go to manufacturing those machines. Now there's going to be a manufacturing job that there wasn't previously because these machines didn't exist before. This is just how society works. And, that's what it is.
I think it's when, and I'm just being really honest with you, Kim, it's when Americans stop getting sucked in, and it's hard. It's really hard. But when Americans stop getting sucked in and used and told, this is what you're supposed to be mad about. This is what you're supposed to care about. This is what you're supposed to fight for. We're going to fight for this. And you're not a loyal Trump supporter if you're not out there fighting for it. And you're not a loyal Democrat if you're not out there fighting for it.
This isn't a both sides issue. Donald Trump is a fucking monster, okay? There is no equivalent to Donald Trump in the United States right now.
When people stop doing that and saying, no, F you, you know what matters to me is the
language, madam.
Fact that houses cost too much money, rent is too high, we can't make enough money, my family's got to work 2 or 3 jobs, married couples can't have one spouse stay home and raise the children anymore, the dollar is shit, it's not worth anything anymore, and here we are at approaching $40 trillion in debt. I think when Americans get up and they shove that in the faces of politicians that they vote for and elect, and say, no, we're not gonna get sucked in anymore.
Okay, Bernie Sanders has been doing that for literally decades. Where were you? You were supporting the fucking monster that was making this shit worse. That's where you were.
More. I think that's when it might change. But it's going to take Americans being really committed to do that.
What's next for you? Are you a Republican? Did you announce that you're now an independent? Are you joining The View?
No, I haven't. I haven't left the Republican Party. I would argue the Republican Party has left me and probably a lot of other Republicans. I haven't switched to an independent. I have not joined The View. I'm definitely not a Democrat. I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress. And I'm America first and not whatever MAGA has turned into.
Are you going to run for governor of Georgia?
Oh, Lord God. Everybody asks me this. Okay. I've said it over and over. No, I'm not running for governor.
Oh, thank fucking shit. I'm actually really relieved to hear that because she's really a monster. She's a monster. Marjorie Taylor Greene is. Jesus Christ.
I've put out statements on my social media like a year ago saying I'm not running for governor. I'm not running for Senate. I put out, it was an article. It was an article on X about all the reasons I'm not running for Senate. Are you running for president? I'm not running for president. I'm very much, look, I'll say it like this. Politics was literally, I served 5 years in Congress. Actually, I lived up to my term limit pledge better than anybody. So I've spent 6 years, 1 year campaigning, 5 years in Congress. That was a very small percentage of my adult life. So I'm very happily doing normal things, spending time with my kids, my family, my friends, and catching up on life that I missed out on for the past 6 years.
But we need you.
Well, I would say if I'm needed, I would need the American people to wake up to the stuff I'm trying to tell them before I ever thought about going back.
Don't leave us. Don't leave us. That's my plea. I mean, I would just love to see you jump back in somehow, some way. It was really sad to see you go. Was hoping that there was maybe some pivot to something bigger and better, and maybe where you could be more effective, like governor of Georgia. I think you shouldn't rule that out. I think you should still maybe go for that, where you could actually make some.
She's not popular among Republicans, and she's not popular among Democrats either. She's not winning anything.
Real effective change on a local level. I think more and more Americans are waking up to local politics and realizing that, it's so funny. Yeah, and it's funny to see the Democrats, right? They were always so big government and federal government. And now
they are?
They're becoming like small government, small local government.
No, there's been consistency this entire time with the Democratic position, with the left-leaning position. There's always been consistency. Separation of church and state and all that other stuff. The Republicans have no consistency. And when they bounce back and forth from one thing to another, they think Democrats are moving around. That's what's happening, actually.
We're going to run ourselves because we want to make sure everybody's vaccinated in our little city or whatever. It's like, okay, whatever your motivation is.
Nobody ever tried to force anyone to get vaccinated. That never happened. There's a testing mandate where if you were vaccinated, you could be exempted from getting tested every week. And Republican nutcases like Marjorie Taylor Greene claimed that was a vaccine mandate and that they were forcing people to get vaccinated. It's fucking delusion all the way down with these people.
But it's a good idea for each of us to kind of run our own enclaves because we're all so different. We have different viewpoints. And the great thing about being an American, which myself, I just moved back to Idaho from Los Angeles, and I was born and raised in Idaho, is that I can choose. What's great about being an American is you can choose where you want to live that fits your political or your lifestyle, better, the way you want to raise your family or be surrounded by people with the same viewpoints or whatever. And we have that freedom to do that.
Or skin color.
But I think more people are waking up to local. And I would just love to see you do something on the local level, like governor or something, so I'll just keep planning.
Well, governor is not local level, but okay. Local politics are a lot better, honestly. Everything feels chaotic and confusing and like a complete mess, like a train wreck. But honestly, on the local level, you can affect so much change. And American Atheists works on the local level with like local volunteers to get things done. And they do a fantastic job. Like seriously. The people at American Atheists are not discouraged by what's happening. because they are still actively now to this day affecting change. Well, because local politicians like state senators, state house members, and people like that, they aren't celebrities. They're just, they're doing their best for their constituents genuinely. They're not targeted by scumbags or, like lobbyists who are trying to force their hand and all that shit. Not in the same way that like federal people are being targeted. Not in the same way. So you can do a lot on a local level, and it'll make you feel better about the situation, honestly.
That like Governor of Georgia, Marjorie, Governor.
Thank you.
Governor Taylor Greene. Doesn't that sound good? Governor Taylor Greene? See?
I don't know. I tell you what, it's a lot of people have to see the truth before I would ever think about doing anything again. Yeah, but I agree with you on local. That is the best advice. People can actually change their city.
They absolutely can, 100%. Get involved in local politics. Seriously, go to local town halls and everything. You can talk to these people. Like, you'll never be able to get in a conversation with Bernie Sanders or AOC, but you can talk to your local senators and congressmen, like your state senators and congressmen. You probably email them, like now, and get a response from them, not from their people, from them. And tell them that you want this or that, or you want to lobby for whatever, and they'll do it. Seriously, work with them.
They can change their city and their county, and they can affect things in their state.
Super easy, barely an inconvenience.
But that machine up in Washington is pretty fixed.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, thank you so much for this great conversation, this candid conversation. Just, again, going to miss you a lot, but hopefully you'll be back on this show so I don't have to miss you too much.
Anyway, there you go. It sounds like that's the end of it. That was wild, dude. She is turning on MAGA, but she's still a nutcase, so she doesn't get a pass on this one. Tell me what you think about it in the comments.